What's going on, friends? Welcome back to another video. Will here.
And Serena.
We are doing a flight attendant video question. I know that this is long overdue.
It is.
But we are finally doing it. We're currently on a layover. Where are we?
Denver, Colorado.
You guys know that I live here. Today, we just kind of want to chat with you guys and kind of dive in a little bit more into the flight attendant lifestyle, give you guys our opinion. We have different backgrounds. You've been around for how many years?
5 years already. Time flies.
I've been here for a little over a year.
Yeah.
I guess I can't say 15 months.
You can say 15 months.
That's how parents speak about their kids.
My kid is almost 20 months. That's how long he's been here.
My kid is 20 months, 2 days, and 5 hours. All right, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Serena. I'm Chicago-based. I've been here for 5 years. However, all 5 years have not been in Chicago. My first 2 were in Vegas, and now the rest of the 3 have been in Chicago. And it made me really enjoy my job again.
Cool. Have you worked at a different airline before?
Never. This is my first airline.
We work for the same airline, if you didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, we just pick up trips on different airlines together.
Can you rather we could actually do that? And I'm Will. I've been here for 15 months, and I've been Chicago-based. My first 2 months, actually, I was Philly-based, and then I was able to transfer home to Chicago. And soon, I will no longer be a Chicago-based flight attendant. I am going to Orlando, which you guys should know that by now.
He's leaving.
I am getting out. Next question here, guys. What did you do before becoming a flight attendant?
So actually, you know, even though tomorrow's Halloween, I think it's Christmas, but I worked for the mouse. I worked at Walt Disney World in attractions. I was a status coordinator for 4.5 years, and taught me a lot, but it brought me to where I am today.
That's awesome. I feel like a lot of people that work at Disney come to that.
It's a customer service thing, I think, you know.
Yeah. For me, I actually worked in project management at a nonprofit. I guess I don't work there, I can say it.
Yeah, exactly.
I worked at Make-A-Wish for the Illinois chapter, so I was basically working with volunteers and other partners to grant wishes to kids with critical illnesses. And it was a very rewarding job. I worked from home. It was like a dream job that people really like these days, but I'm no longer there. I'm here now. Next question here is, what made you interested in becoming a flight attendant?
Okay, so for me...
What happened?
Both of my parents were actually in the airline industry, so I feel like I was born and raised in an airplane, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Okay.
My mother, a majority of her career, she was a flight attendant. So she worked for Air Wisconsin, ATA. When I was in high school, she worked for Ryan International and did military charter flights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad worked for United for many, many years. So I spent a lot of time on the ramp. I spent a lot of time in the air. But the travel bug is what got me.
Okay.
So here I am, keeping the family bloodline going.
I don't know when or how, because none of my family members actually work in aviation. I think for me, I guess I have my great-grandpa, he's still around. He always loved to travel, so I guess maybe I got it from him. Because till this day, he's 93, and like he loves traveling. He's like, "Can you book me a flight to go somewhere?"
That's so cute. I love that.
So I feel like maybe I got it from him, but I've always been interested. I know growing up, I said I wanted to be a pilot. I don't know that I'll do that because I feel like I'm too old for that now.
You know, people say you're too. You know, you're never too old to do what you really want to do.
Maybe I just feel like I'm too old to like go through all of that at this age. I don't know, but I guess I was always interested in the flight attendant position, and I remember years back I did have the opportunity to go work for other airlines. However, I don't think I was actually prepared for it. There was so much that I didn't know about, and also I'm glad where I landed where I am because I think like work-life balance is a lot better. It's
huge.
Because we're compared to other airlines, we're a lot smaller, even though like we do fly a lot. But yeah, I think for me it was just something that I always. I don't know where it came from, but I just always wanted to do it.
See, and then there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome.
15 months later.
15.
What is most challenging about being a flight attendant?
You know, I really think it depends on the person as far as challenges go, because if you talk to multiple people, the challenges differ from person to person.
You have a great point there.
And even throughout like the career, like I was saying, I've been here for 5 years, you know, and like in the beginning, the most challenging part was I was in college. I was doing school full time, and I was flying full time, and I went through training when I was in college. So that was really challenging for me as I graduated college. Yeah. I was working on my bachelor's degree as I went through training with the airline. And so that was hard in itself. But after that, like through my career as it, you know, went through its own cycle, I became a mother. So being away from my little one is very difficult, but at the same time, I think of like in the future, like when she's like, Mom, like I'm learning history, you know, it's like, hey, let's go to Washington, D.C. so I can show you like the Declaration of Independence and those kinds of things.
That's beautiful.
You do miss out on some milestones, but it's all, again, like that's a whole nother conversation, but your partner and who you're with, you know, your friends, who you circle yourself with. So I think those are kind of like the challenges, you know, but I mean, it's so worth it. Everything about it is worth it.
I agree with you. I think it really depends on the person and like maybe like what circumstance and what they're going through life. Like maybe like for me, I'm not a parent, but I have 2 dogs.
So, but that's a parent.
But I mean, and I guess like the responsibilities there, because like you have to feed them, you have to walk them, and like who's gonna watch them when I'm gone, and like, you know, me with the move coming up now, you know, transferring to another base, like I have to plan for that. So, but back to like the actual question of, you know, what is most I think just really understanding that being a flight attendant is it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's so different than like your 9 to 5, and like you wake up in the morning, all of you guys have breakfast together, you know, before everybody goes to work or for school. Like it's so different. And so I think understanding that it's a lifestyle, and like you're probably gonna miss birthdays, parties, holidays. Like I remember last year I worked Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
This year I'm not, but we actually got to work together last year, which is when we met.
That's,
and I was like, oh, this is great. But then I was like, oh man, there's so much turkey happening back home.
And then you see all the pictures and the videos, and you're like, dang, you know.
Right.
But that's when it comes back to, like I was saying, like it really depends on who like you know, encompass your circle with, and like, you know, because we could work Thanksgiving together. It could be the best holiday we've had in years, you know, because family drama. But
she may be onto something there, let me tell you.
So sometimes being able to pick up a trip and go is a good one.
True.
But
yeah, definitely a lot of different elements to that question, I think. But hopefully you guys can have like a little bit of an overview of, you know, that there isn't just one thing that's challenging about it. It's just a lot of different aspects that you have to take into consideration when you're thinking about transitioning to this job. What was training like for you?
Woof. Lord. Well, again, like I was just saying, training for me.
Well, yeah, you were saying that you were in school.
I was in school. So luckily I had a really, really good couple people that were in my training class with me, that it was like we were anchors, like in a sinking ship. Like if you were going down, we all were going down, you know?
I know. I may have a couple people that I was like that with too.
And but I mean, training for me, it was very like, it's very how we were describing 9 to 5. Like it's almost like a teaser, like into the flight attendant life. Like you wake up, you have breakfast, right? You have to be to class by 8 a.m. You get 10-minute breaks. You can't be late. You got 10-minute breaks. You know, you can go to the bathroom, eat. You have a lunch. There were certain things that were more difficult as far as like what they were teaching, or what like comprehension of certain things, you know, like the emergency equipment thing was like the hardest thing. Everybody freaked out
especially for us, like none of us actually worked at an airline, like at another airline before we came here. So it's
like I kind of went off what my mother was telling me, you know, I kind of went off of like what her friends were telling me, or what I saw my mom go through training when I was in high school. You know, there's certain things you expect, there's certain things that lack. It was an experience, that's for sure. It was fun. At the end of it, it's very rewarding. It is.
I had pretty bad test anxiety. That was like the most nerve-wracking thing for me. Like whenever I knew that we had an exam that morning, I was like freaking out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fail. Even though I knew what I was, I knew the stuff. Like I wasn't dumb, like I was reading it, but I got so nervous.
Those 3.5 weeks really make you question, like double question yourself. Did I put the right thing? Did I circle the right? Did I put yes or no? Why, you know, Y or N? And I don't know how it was for you guys, but like for us, like it was like if you didn't write it on the line, like how they wanted, it was an automatic wrong. Yeah,
if it wasn't like letter by letter.
Yes,
like if you missed like, I don't know, like an exclamation point for, you know, like that's it. It was
exactly.
Wrong. It was wrong.
And it was the worst.
Letter for letter.
Like sitting, like I remember sitting because I was in training here in Denver at the old GO, like way back in the day, and they had like this huge auditorium, and you're taking your test, and when you're done, you all went to the cafeteria.
Oh wow.
So then they call you all back in, you know, and it's like you're sitting there like second guessing yourself again, you know.
It's a lot different now, but I guess the feeling is still the same.
It is. You know, your heart's racing, like
you're like about to submit this thing, and you're like, oh my god, did I pass or not? And then like you have to go outside, wait for everybody to finish, and then you come back in.
They call your name, and they're like, you made it, and it's like, oh my god, no, let me have a drink or something.
Definitely nerve wracking, but I think I had, like you, I had people that, you know, I was very good friends with, and like we communicated every day, and like we helped each other, and like we tried to look for like, okay, so I noticed that you're probably lacking on this. Not lacking, I'm saying lacking for lack of a better word.
Right.
But thanks to the AC that just decided to mess up our video here. Yeah. But sorry guys, we don't have a studio here, but it's okay. You know. And so in general it went great. I think it was definitely nerve wracking, and you know you have so many emotions. You're like, is it even worth it? And you start questioning.
A lot of crying. I remember crying a lot, which I know sounds like ridiculous.
I don't think I cried.
But I think it was just out of frustration. Like it wasn't even like one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna be a flight attendant. Like no. Like it was like, dang, like you know, like I'm 22 years old taking tests every other day. Like what am I doing?
Also too, like think about it. Like you were in school, but like you were in Disney at the time as well, like before you went to training.
Yeah,
right?
I was in school during Disney
for me, I just quit this job that I was like, you know, doing extremely well, and like I had everything. I was working from home, like and it was like to give that up to then go to training and fail and get sent home
and then have nothing.
Like
that's what really scares you. Like in the back of your mind, like you go to nothing if you fail. Like this is it's end or all or be all, you know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest like pressures.
And I think it was funny too because like you know we would have our training like our like study group, and it would be like 6 o'clock. I'm like, all right, y'all got to get out because I got to do homework because I kept thinking, well, if I fail this, at least I'll have something to fall back on, you know.
Yeah. Great thinking though.
And I was like, it was fun. It was fun.
I'm just glad that we don't have to go through that whole thing again.
Oh my god. Yeah. There's things people don't think about when it comes to training like that.
A lot of emotions for sure. Mm-hmm. You feel so much pressure too.
Oh, until the day that you hear your name graduate. Woo!
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's a whole nother video.
And then your IOE kicks in and you're like...
You're like, did I actually know what I tested on 3 weeks ago? I'm kidding.
This is a fire.
We're actually, once you learn it, like, it's just in you.
It's
like,
ingrained in you,
there's no way you're going to forget.
I think I had nightmares and dreams about training for, like, weeks after the fact.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just glad we don't have to go over that again. Next question here, guys. Is there anything that you wish you would have done differently throughout your career so far?
This is kind of going to sound rough.
Dun, 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 dun.
I probably would not have moved to Las Vegas. Sorry for the people that are Vegas based or live in Vegas.
Nothing against Vegas or
I mean, I was born. I was born and raised in the Midwest in Wisconsin. You go Pack Go, cheesehead, you know, through and through.
Cheese curd farms, left and right.
I look like a cheese curd anyway. It was a really big, like, eye-opening experience for me. Like, I mean, I had moved away from home many years before, but like living in Vegas, like, and you're all brand new flight attendants, and you just wanted somebody to go to the movies with you and just eat soup, salad, and breadsticks, you know? At like something like at Olive Garden, like, hey, like, are you off? Like, let's go. But it was like, okay, well, you're in the city that's so transient, and you don't really know anybody besides your classmates, but you know, you're all trying to find your own way and your own like things of doing things. I mean, it put me in the path where I am today, and I'm thankful for that. But like, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have tried to stay in Orlando because I loved Orlando.
You can come with me to Orlando.
But the cheese curd is back in the deep fryer at home in Milwaukee.
What about for you? I don't know. I mean, I've also been doing it for not that very long. So I guess I'm still like learning. I do remember probably I would have tried to get a crash pad before getting out of training.
See, because
I remember my first week, and you guys probably seen these on those vlogs I posted. I struggled so much that first week. Like, I didn't have transportation. I was at a dual base, and the distance between Philly and Trenton is like, I don't know, it's probably like 35, 40 miles, something like that.
It's a hike.
And, you know, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a place to live. Like, I spent so much money on Airbnb. Like, I don't think I had a real check for like 2 months or 3 months.
Well, I was going to say on reserve, that's when it's the most
because all my money was going to all those things. And I wish I would have done a little bit more research to know exactly what I was getting myself into. And eventually I found a great crash pad. You know, things worked out eventually. But that first week, it really made me question, like, is this something I want to do? And obviously at the time, you know, things were a little bit different in the Chicago base. So like, you couldn't transfer as easily as you can now.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't because our Atlanta base had open, right then, I'd probably still be in Philly for a longer period of time. Which mentally I was preparing to be there for like 6 months. But I think it was
well, and that's the thing too, like with the airline, you know, it's always about the movement. It's always about like, where can they, you know, expand here or expand there. And, like,
which we don't have control over. Operations.
I mean, they literally could call us tomorrow and be like, hey, Chicago's closed.
Yeah, let's,
you know, like, no, God, please.
It's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, like just a, you know,
hypothetically speaking.
I mean, they can just place you anytime, anywhere that you want.
And in history, you can look, other airlines have done it. You know, they've opened bases, closed bases, and like,
everything is based off of statistics, you know? It's like, where is the most people flying through? Where are the most departures and inbound and all that other stuff? And, you know, it's, God forbid. I mean, thank God you got here quicker than anything,
I did it 2 months, And it's funny because I remember driving our car from, like, Chicago to Philly for, like, 13 hours by myself.
Ugh.
And, like, 2 days after I get the car to the crash pad, I literally get the email, and it actually wasn't an email, it was like a whole bunch of text messages from my classmates saying like, you got Chicago, and I'm like, what?
And you're like, I just drove 13 hours.
Yes.
Oh, I would have been livid.
And it's funny because like, when I actually drove the car there, I never got called to work down the Trenton.
Isn't that crazy?
Never. Never. And I remember when I didn't have a car, I would get like airport standby in Trenton every single week, at least like twice a week.
I had to take that drive one time because I was going on a cruise from Philly to Trenton. Listen, that Uber cost me an arm and a leg.
Well, I can't tell you the amount of times I got stuck in Trenton because nobody wanted to drive me to Philly. It was terrible, but I'm glad it's over. Anyway, I would definitely change that. I would do more research.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all about the research, you know. But everybody's new, and like, you know, you have the couple people that have been in the airline previously, and they already have their, like, you know, rocks in a line, like they know where to go. And then you're kind of like looking around, like, hey, you got somewhere to live, you know? And it's like, you want to be buddies? It's like, I don't know you.
I do have a place to live in Chicago.
Yeah. It's all about getting there, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Next question here, what was your interview process like?
Okay, so mine, it was like a weird time. I remember it was back in like 2017, and one of my friends who's Orlando based, we worked at Disney together, and he's like, Serena, you know, like, this was your dream. Like this is the reason that like I did it, so I think you should do it. So I applied, you know, whatever. And they called me to set up a phone interview. Okay, so, you know, they call you, ask a phone interview, you know, and they're like, are you willing to relocate? And you're like, yes, 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 you know, like, of course, I will go anywhere in the world you want me to go.
I'll be
and
homeless.
You're like, you're like, I'll pick a box anywhere, just put me there. And you're, you know, you're like, oh my God, like, turning. So they ask, like, you know, all these questions, like, are you willing, you know, to fly? Like,
you know, I'm able to assist in case I'm kidding.
Yeah, and I was like, maybe. So yeah, and then they were like, well, you know, we really, you know, appreciated like your phone interview. And then they're like, well, we're going to fly you out to Denver for a face-to-face interview. And the face-to-face interview, whoo, you know, they're watching every single move that you make.
Yeah.
Every single conversation, every single interaction with anybody. You know, like, are you sitting by yourself? Are you not? And I remember being separated into 2 different groups. And like, there were some people, millennials, you know, they show up to a job interview with purple and blue hair and like, hey, speak yourself, no judgment.
Right.
You know, but you're going to a professional interview.
Yeah.
And they're like, right off the bat, booted. And you're sitting there like freaking out, you know, because you don't know what's going on. So separated into 2 rooms, you go through your face-to-face. Like, we met with a recruiter, we met with HR, and then you finally met with like the big wigs. And then they were like, congratulations, we want to offer you a CJO.
Continued job offer.
Yeah, and
it's basically what that means for those of you that don't know or are trying to get into that. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're fine.
But it's basically a continued job offer that you will get the job as a flight attendant upon completion of in-flight training.
Correct. So it's a contingent offer.
Yeah, so you don't have a job yet, but you have an offer to attend training, and then upon completion, then if you graduate successfully, you have a job.
And the interview process literally took all day. I remember my mother calling my brother because he was actually in town visiting. Him and his girlfriend were here in Denver, and so they were like, "It was your sister, you know, murdered. Like, where is she?" Blah, 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 blah. You know, whatever.
No, yeah, but
like crazy.
I mean, the least you want to do on that day is like pay attention to your phone.
Right. You don't pull your phone out. No matter what you do not pull your phone out. Just be as personable with other people as you can. You love people that day, you know.
I mean, I feel like people that do this job love them in general. But
they do, yeah. But that day, like, you want to make friends. That's really how it is.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, it was weird because they weren't, for some reason at that point in time, they weren't giving people a training date. So I remember, like, I went to the interview in, like, February of 2017. I didn't go to training until September of 2017.
Oh, wow.
So I went back. My grandma, unfortunately, passed away, so I spent some time at home. And then I got the call, and it must have been my, you know, grandma from heaven saying it was your time to go. And shortly after that, I went to training and graduated in October 2017.
Destiny just wanted you to spend more time at home.
Yeah.
Before you actually went to training, and like,
that's why I got to be there.
There you go.
Here we are.
For me, I think, I mean, it doesn't matter which airline. It's just a long process, in general.
You can't.
And you're gonna go through different phases. And you're going to interview with a lot of people. You're probably going to do video interviews, phone interviews, and stuff like that. I remember applying back in April, and like, I forgot that I applied for it. And to be honest, I did. And then I was trying to get a promotion of a previous job, and like, for some reason, things weren't working out. And after I finished that interview, I was like, you know, at my previous job, I was like, man, I'm just ready for a change.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, like, 3 days after I get the email to attend like a face-to-face interview.
So you did not have the phone interview? I
might have done like a video interview.
Oh, see, we didn't have video interviews either.
Yeah, I think I did a video interview. Well, after you applied, complete the assessment, I might have done, I think I did a video interview. And then that's when like 3 months went by, and then I got the invite to come to Denver and then like do the whole thing. I remember that day there was like 170 people.
See?
It was crazy. I showed up at like 6:30 in the morning, and I remember I walked out of here like 5:45 p.m. Such a long day. And you're just like, you're stressing all day because you want to do good. And like, you really want the job and you want to showcase that. But then you have like, you get nervous and you hear other people, especially other people that have experience at other airlines. You start comparing yourself to them, and I'm like, oh my God, are my customer service, I cannot speak. Are my customer service skills good enough for the job?
It's
you know?
true, yeah.
And yeah, it was definitely a long day, but let me tell you, I remember after we went through whatever many rounds we had on that day, they pulled like 6 of us aside to a different room. And I was like, we're such a small group. I'm pretty sure
and
we're
then your
going
knees
home.
are really shaking. You're like, I'm going to fall
pretty
on
sure
the
we're
floor.
going home. And then I remember him saying, unfortunately, and when he said unfortunately, my heart dropped.
Because at that point, you're in it.
I was like, I have not been here for 8 hours.
No food. Like, I'm starving.
And then he said, unfortunately, you're going to have to be here more time because you guys are getting CJOs.
I just got goosebumps. Yeah. It brings back good memories,
yeah,
you know?
And then we all started, like, crying. And I was like, it was so worth it. and then you start, like, questioning your life. I was like, okay, so I got to make decisions. What do I do now? Like, am I going to quit this job? Like, when am I actually going to go to training? But it was different for me. Like, I think I got my offer sometime in like June, and then they asked me if I wanted to go to a class in July. I said no, because it was like too soon. I only had like less than 2 weeks, and I needed to, you know, have closure at my previous job, and so I then went to training in August. Next question here: what is your biggest pet peeve as a flight attendant? Why do you have to use the lavatory during boarding?
Listen, we wait to use a real bathroom in the airport.
Like you're telling me that say that your flight was at 11 a.m. You showed up at this airport at 6 a.m.
Actually, I show up at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, but like that's
I'm just kidding.
But and then you have all this time before you start boarding, and you actually have like life-size restrooms. You have your own stall, you have your own privacy, you have like options as far as like toilet paper. You even have like a seat cover. You forget why in the middle of boarding like you have to go into the lavatory.
Yeah. I think to touch on like now that you say like the lavatory thing, I guess one of my pet peeves is like, why do people use it and walk out and not shut the door? Like, do you think like that we want to like sit there and smell like
let me take a sniff
your morning goods? Like I'm like, okay. Yeah. But like, you know, you have some people that like slam that door and you're like, oh no. Otherwise then like
I feel like there's too many, because now I'm thinking like, okay, so you go to the lab during boarding, leave the door open, also you don't wear shoes.
Oh, the shoes. That is not water on the floor. You know, sometimes it's crazy because pet peeves can be like on the plane. Pet peeves can be with your coworkers.
Oh yeah.
Pet peeves can be, you know, everybody does things different ways, you know, and so it's kind of crazy. You know, like one of my favorite things, my new favorite things, is when there's no overhead space and people just get so frustrated right away and they're just like, well, what do I do?
I'm gonna put this back, and I'm like, 7 rows down the aisle over there. You see those 3 bins open?
Wide open.
Down there.
You know, like it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, no.
You know, I mean, sometimes depending on like the passengers, like you know if you can like kind of play with them or not, you know.
Yeah.
And on one time I told this lady, I said, well, it might disappear.
Oh my god.
And she was like, oh, you're so funny. Yeah. It was funny until she saw that I put her bag right above her head.
I tend not to joke because English is my second language and I don't think I'm funny when I speak English. I can't crack a joke in English like I can in Spanish.
Say something funny.
I know.
Funny. A round of applause. Yeah.
Next question. Next question here, guys. Favorite layover and why? Go. Don't think about it. Go.
Favorite layover. I know
Phoenix.
This is cliche. Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
My favorite layover.
We had fun in Phoenix.
That's good. I love it there. If you guys don't know that, I mean, they know that by now. Like, I talk about Phoenix like
all the time.
Here comes the fan again.
You know, it's kind of crazy because like I feel like our layovers have changed so many times throughout the years. As crazy as it sounds, one of my favorite layovers ever was in Cincinnati, which sounds so wild. It was one of those times where you had a good crew. We went to a baseball game. Like there was a whole bunch of things to do. I really enjoy being in the winter time. I like being somewhere warm. So like typically Orlando, Miami, you know, we can party in the city where the heat is on.
Party in the USA.
Yeah. I like Orlando, you know. I don't know. I was mad because pre-COVID, I was supposed to go to Maine and I was going to eat all the crab legs in the entire land. And it got canceled. But I think, you know, anywhere that's not Denver for me, even though that's practically where I live.
Yeah, but we're not doing that next month.
Yes, next month I will be in Orlando every single day of my life. But it's vacation month, so I won't be working a lot.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me.
Serena and I actually met after her birthday last year for the first time.
It's coming up.
Anyway, my favorite layover is Phoenix. Why? Because I just love it.
You remember that time where you asked?
Remember that one time?
Listen, in Phoenix they have, which if you guys didn't know.
FYI, I wasn't working. I just crashed.
Yeah, he came. He came on my layover, and they have drive-through beer places.
I didn't know that.
Me either.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm from like Wisconsin. That's all you do is you drink. Wisconsin.
No, but we were off duty. Well, I was not working. She was off duty.
Mm-hmm.
And we quickly changed, or you did, because we had just gotten there. And the driver was like, "Let's go." And like we're literally like
Say no
in
more.
this drive-thru, and he's like, "What do y'all want?" It was funny.
And we
then,
ended up
like,
giving him a beer because he kind of like
yeah,
hooked
it
us
was
up.
very fun. And then like we got to sit by the pool, and also other people joined us that night. And then come like 5 a.m. was still talking there, and we're like, we should probably go.
The sun's coming up. Maybe we should sleep. But we woke up and got coffee, so.
I was good. Ooh, we went to Dutch Bros.
The first time we each had Dutch Bros, and it was amazing.
I can taste the caramelizer right now.
The last time I had that was in Seattle, and it was, oh my god. My brother was like, "What's the big deal?" I was like, "Oh, Dutch Bros, duh."
Your brother will never understand.
No.
All right, next question here. Something people who want to be flight attendants should know.
I'm gonna let you start this one.
You're gonna struggle financially the first year.
Big time. Yeah.
And I'm just gonna be honest. Like, it doesn't matter which airline you go to. This is something that I can't stress enough. A lot of people think that depending on the airline that you go to, like it's how yes, you know, like starting or hourly rate does change and varies between airlines. But you know, it also like. Say you go to a bigger airline, you're making less money, but now you just got sent to freaking London. And what are you gonna do with your 2 cents in London?
Yeah, I pack a lot of, you know, food that you can take over the pond.
Well, and I don't even know because like there are restrictions. But what I'm saying is like, just prepare yourself to like.
Have that mindset.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you're actually going to struggle. Like, I'm not saying, hey, you're going to struggle, it's going to be so bad.
No.
But, like, I remember sitting down and planning, okay, so I think I'm going to be gone for 6 months. And let me put money aside for my rent in Chicago. I guess what I'm trying to say is just, like, organize your finances in a way that when you get out of training and you start getting that paycheck, it doesn't hit you that hard where you're just, like,
budget
in the
accordingly.
negatives. Yeah. Thank you.
I think
I go around it a lot. It's like, language barrier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's for me. You'll learn about the lifestyle. You'll learn about the job. You'll learn what works for you, what doesn't. You'll get used to certain trips. You know when to bid for stuff. You know, I've had months where I worked over, you know, my guaranteed paid, which is 75 hours. And there's been months where I've worked like 90 something hours.
Right.
And you know, then you start looking at your per diem. Your per diem adds up, and it's just like
your per diem really does add up. People knock it off, and they shouldn't because
it's like an additional 800, 900 sometimes. You know, per paycheck.
Depending, especially on your trips and how long you're gone, and you know, like
sometimes you're like. I mean, for example, what was it last month? I did 4-day trips. And that was like almost 80 hours.
And that's all per diem.
Yeah, all per diem, you know? So, yeah, that's my one and huge and biggest, enormous advice. Prepare yourself to struggle, but you're going to find the motivation to actually do it. Like, you can find side hustle. Like, I remember doing DoorDash for a little bit, beginning of the year, until I was able to, like, and it was actually pretty fun. I kind of wanted to do it.
And it kind of takes you away from, like, you know, like the stresses of the job and things like that too, and you know.
I mean, it's ultimately your job that you don't take home with you.
That's right there.
Like, it's just like, yes, you know, it's gonna be hard the first year. You're probably gonna take it. I took an almost 60% pay cut when I came here.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that it's just like.
Exactly, it's worth it in the. It's worth it in the end. Yeah, I got a pay raise when I came to the airline. But from when I started compared to like when you started, like our pay and our contracts were different. So
because you came in when they were like in contract negotiations?
Yes. Well, before, like they were doing contract negotiations, but like the contract wasn't ratified until way after. So like we were at like an even lower, and we had 24-hour reserve. So I remember going to the grocery store with my uniform in the trunk with my bags in case they called, you know, taking whatever I just
That
bought
is
with
crazy.
me.
I've actually never done that. I've never been that paranoid about them calling me.
Well, because, you know, you would, you know, say you have a 6-day block, right? And it's all 24-hour call. So you're one day off, like you're trying to go to the store, you're trying to pack, you know, trying to do this. And I remember like cooking, like as if I was like, you know, Chef Boyardee for 6 days. And if I didn't get called, that's what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is so, like, wild to me. But you have to have it in your bag, ready to go. You know, like, you have to be organized with those things at that point. But I don't think that that's, like, the one thing that, like, I struggled with. I don't know. Like, that didn't bother me as much.
Yeah.
Financially, like, it was one of those things.
I mean, it does get better.
A lot better. That I can guarantee you.
Like I've gotten like 3 races or 2 races.
Yes.
So far, and it's huge difference.
It makes a difference. I mean, you know, people are, you know, especially like from your first year. Your first year is such a trial and error period that it's like.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people just go into it month 3 like, oh, it's not working out for me, but again, back to the same thing. Whichever airline you go to, you have to give it time. You
have to be open-minded.
You have to put in your time.
Seniority is everything in the airline industry. It truly is, you know.
Yeah. So what would you tell them besides the financials and like being organized? Is there something to be like, focus on this, or
you know, honestly,
they should know?
I mean, I would be open-minded, like I had said. Like, try to be as...
You did say that.
Yeah, try to be as open-minded as you possibly can, because it's going to be very difficult in the beginning, you know? Like, and you...
Yeah.
If you can have that strong support group, like, lean on them. Like, it takes a village, you know, to, like, make things, like, go around, you know?
People around you will not understand.
And don't let people depend... No matter what airline you work for, everybody's going to have their opinion. Everybody's going to say, like, this one's better than this one, and why do you work there?
I will say this, officially. The grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yes. It's really, truly... For me, I think the one thing that I would, like, say to you guys is find that work-life balance. Find what truly works for you, because you don't want to change... You don't want the job to change you. You don't want... Let me rephrase this.
What?
You don't want to change yourself for the job. Don't let the job change you. Be you and go through it by yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't... You
can manipulate this job in so many ways.
You can make it work in your favor every which way and sideways. However you want to do it. But finding that work-life balance truly makes a difference in this industry. Because if you're on the road 6 days, you know, and you're just like, oh, I really miss home. Like, I miss my dog. I miss my kids. I miss, you know, going, whatever, my favorite plans. Starbucks. Yeah. You know, plan to work weekends, no matter what you want to do. I mean, eventually, like, sure. But the good trips are on the weekends, as terrible as that sounds, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think, and I was just saying this in one of my vlogs recently, like, you know, yes, I am still a reserve flight attendant, but, like, starting Monday, I have, like, 7 days off.
November 1st, I have 22 days off. I'm on vacation with 2 trips.
Like, and I'm actually going home, and I don't need to take vacation to go home see my family.
Now, how many times have you seen on Facebook, Instagram, your friends who are not in the airline industry say, I really need a vacation?
We take vacations like every other week.
Or, and you know what's crazy? And I wish, I'll have to send it to you so that you can upload it. There was a thing that many, many years ago when I was working at Disney that somebody sent me that it said, you don't want to work in a job that you only look forward to the weekends.
Yeah.
Because if you, to me, like, my weekend is going to be on Wednesday. You know, like, that's my Saturday. Like, Tuesday is my Friday.
I don't know. I never really got into that mindset of like, oh, like the week.
Yeah, no. You know, but it's like you don't want to, like, you know, if you have a 9 to 5, you know, you typically have Saturdays and Sundays off. Even when I worked at Disney, my regular days off were Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I could go to the doctor's, I could go to the grocery store without having to worry about everybody and their brother being there. You know, like, it's just, you don't want to work in a job that's going to be, when can I be off? Like, this, you have the freedom to go and do what you want to do.
Like, I literally swapped with someone the other day to have an extra day off.
See, and where can you do that?
Not at my 9 to 5.
Yeah, right. Like, you can't be like, hey, you think you can come in at 3:30 so I can take a longer lunch?
Nope.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Pay me an extra 50 and I'll go.
Yeah. We're salary. We're not coming in for nothing, you know? It's a lifestyle, like we've been saying. It's... Take advantage of it, though. Like, whatever you can do, it's fun.
I know a lot of you guys out there really, and this happened to me throughout, you know, this time that I've been flying, and I don't post it out there, but I do get a lot of messages from people saying, like, we became a flight attendant because, like, we watch your videos and stuff like that, and we want this video to be, like, as realistic as possible from 2 people that have been here 5 years and a little over a year. Like, it's... I know, we both know what it's like to, you know, to be on the other side and be like, do I want to do it? Should I do it? Like, am I going to struggle? Like, what if? And there's so many things, but like deep inside, I feel like if you genuinely want to do it,
do it.
Just do it. And we really hope that this video helps you in a way, get that clarity to be like, you know what? Serena and Will said that it's going to get better. Let's just go.
Take the leap.
Yeah. Should we officially promote our podcast here?
I think we should.
Okay. Yeah, but thank you so much for joining me.
No,
I think
of course.
This was very fun.
Anytime. It's awesome.
I don't ever get to see you, but...
I know. And then he's leaving me to go to Orlando, you know.
No, but we truly appreciate you guys staying all the way to the end of the video. Anything else you want to say before we close on the vlog tonight?
No, thanks for having me.
All right.
I like being on your videos with you. They're fun.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't know, no? Should I do it? And then she's like, oh my God, I love this.
It's always fun, like going through the airport.
Maybe
like,
we should have like a
Will's
series
friend.
where like once a month we sit down and we talk about...
I think we should.
I don't know. We're going to work on something. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for getting to the end of the video. If you did enjoy this vlog, go ahead and smash that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.